And if I told you that the greatest fear of death is not the end, but to be trapped forever? Imagine closing your eyes here, and upon waking up, you are still in the same place. The world goes on, people pass by, but you are like an echo, a reflection trapped in the most intense moment of your life, or of your departure. This is not just a tale of horror. It is one of the most serious studies of spiritualism, based on thousands of communications and works such as those by Allan Kardec. What really happens for a soul not to be able to move on? The answer is in an invisible and incredibly powerful bond that we ourselves create. So, what is this invisible cord that binds a soul to earth? The key to understanding this lies in a moment that we will all face one day, but that few truly comprehend: the instant immediately after death. According to the spiritist doctrine, based on the works of Allan Kardec, such as the Book of Spirits, the death of the physical body is not a cut, a clean break. It is more like a slow awakening, and for many, a profoundly confusing one. Imagine you're sleeping a deep sleep, one of those dreams so vivid that they seem real. Suddenly, something abruptly wakes you up. You open your eyes, but it takes a few seconds or even minutes to orient yourself, to understand that what you were living in the dream is no longer your reality. Now multiply that feeling by 1,000, because the dream was your entire life, with all its emotions, traumas, loves, and grudges. This state, called by spirits spiritual disturbance, is the first factor. The person does not accept that they have died. They try to speak to family members, touch objects, and do not understand why no one sees or hears them. It is a period of great disorientation. But the disturbance alone is not an eternal sentence. It is an open door. What truly locks this door from the inside are the feelings that the person carries. Think of a devastating addiction, one that consumes reason. Think of a hatred so deep that it became the fuel of an existence. Or a paralyzing guilt, those that we carry in the chest as a dead weight. And it is not only bad feelings. It can be a morbid attachment to a material good, to a house, to a treasure that was hidden. It can be a possessive and jealous love that cannot conceive the idea that the loved one follows life without it. Allan Kardec asked the spirits directly, what cause binds the spirit to a place or a material object? The answer, in question 155, is one, and it is devastatingly simple: attachment. Attachment to matter, which is a consequence of imperfection. That's it. It's as if each of these intense and unbalanced feelings created a thread, a heavy and dense energy cable, and all these threads bind to the person, forming a network that anchors them to the physical world. They are trapped in their own threshold of feelings. The spirit André Luis, through the psychographies of Chico Xavier, describes this with a clarity that chills. He speaks about spiritual regions near the earth, dark and difficult environments, which are not a divine punishment, but a collective creation. They are formed by the mental energy of all spirits who, trapped in these states of revolt, resentment, or addiction, vibrate on the same low frequency and cluster together. It is a perfect harmony, but perfect in the most sad possible sense. They do not see the light, do not hear the calls of the higher spirits, because their frequency is tuned only to the channel of their own suffering. But this leads us to a practical question, almost physical. If these spirits are here, trapped in this harmony, how does their energy, this heavy vibration, manifest in our concrete world? What are the signs that someone or something is trapped and suffering beside us, without us even noticing? Because if there is a frequency, perhaps we, unintentionally, may even be able to capture it. So, if the energy of these trapped spirits vibrates on such a low and heavy frequency, how does that pass through the barrier between their world and ours? The signs are there, in common reports that are often ignored or misinterpreted. Don't think of spectacular phenomena. Think of subtle but persistent patterns that reveal a stagnant presence. The first and clearest sign is repetition. A spirit fixated on the trauma of its last instant, such as a violent accident or sudden death, often relives that moment in a loop. It is like a scratched record of the soul. Therefore, stories of ghosts that always appear doing the same thing in the same place at the same time are not necessarily haunting in the sense of pursuit. Often, it is the sad image of a consciousness that cannot get out of that final frame of its existence. It is not haunting the location, it is literally trapped in it. Another powerful sign is the influence over the environment, and primarily over people. The spiritist doctrine calls this obsession. But let's proceed with caution. It's not about demonic possession. It's something more subtle and much more common. Think of a spirit attached to the addiction of alcohol. He is naturally drawn to bars, to parties, to people who are drinking and therefore vibrating with a similar energy. He approaches, not out of malice, but out of an unconscious and irresistible need to feel it again. And by approaching, his heavy energy can influence the incarnate person, increasing the compulsion, bringing down depressive thoughts, or an uncontrollable desire to drink more. The person feels that they have been taken over by a sadness or a strange desire, without knowing where it came from.
Places also absorb this energy. Have you ever entered a house or room that, even empty, feels charged? A feeling of heaviness, a fatigue that comes from nowhere, a cold that is not physical, or that environment where discussions always arise without apparent reason, where the atmosphere is permanently heavy. Often this can be the accumulation of this stagnant energy of spirits that remain there, involved in their own sorrows or conflicts, and that unintentionally emanate this vibration that contaminates the environment. Spirit André Luis, in the book Our Home, describes how certain liminal regions, full of these suffering souls, are true energetic swamps.
And there is a more intimate, more personal sign: dreams. To dream repeatedly with a person who has already passed away, especially if in the dream she seems lost, asking for help, or repeating a scene of suffering, can be a strong indication that this consciousness is still linked here, trying to communicate, or simply transpiring its state of anguish to those who still have an effective bond with her. They are phenomena of tuning.
But if all this is true, if the signs exist, and we can even feel this presence, this puts us before a profound human dilemma. Are we just passive observers of this invisible drama? Or is there something, any action, no matter how small, that we can do to change this situation? Because understanding the cause and recognizing the effects is the first step. The next is the most important of all: what to do about it.
Now comes the most beautiful and powerful part of this whole story, because Spiritism doesn't show us a problem without giving us the tool for the solution. And the central message is this: no one is condemned to wander forever. Liberation is always possible. And how does it happen? Through a force that transcends both worlds: active compassion. The higher spirits from the spiritual colonies carry out tireless rescue work. They are like firefighting teams entering a fire, or doctors in a battlefield. They go to these regions of suffering, illuminate with their own elevated thought, and offer a hand. But the trapped spirit must accept. It must take the first and difficult step of recognizing its condition and wanting to change. And that's where we enter. Our role is not that of an observer, it is of a vital link. The sincere prayer, made with pure feeling of love and desire to help, is a beacon. It emanates a luminous energy that reaches these spirits, breaking the mist of disturbance and making them feel that they are not entirely forgotten. The elevated thought, the vibration of peace that we emanate from our homes, are like radio waves that can tune in to a better frequency. Works carried out in serious spirit centers, such as de-obsession meetings, passes, and fluid water, are powerful instruments. They do not expel ghosts. They provide vital energy, treatment, and guidance so that that spirit weakens its ties and strengthens its desire to move forward. The greatest lesson is that charity, that genuine feeling of helping the next person, knows no boundaries between life and death. When we extend our hand, even in thought,
To those who suffer invisibly beside us, we are not only helping to free a soul, we are in fact freeing ourselves from indifference and building for ourselves a path of light for our own future.